Hey everybody, welcome back to Keeping It Real with Marilyn and Steve. Today we're going to be making some Depression era lemonade. So I'm wearing my mom's old apron today to make this, as this is a lemonade that I grew up with, made exactly this way. My kids grew up with this, and it's something that we have, whether it's 100 degrees in the summer or it's 20 degrees below in the winter. It's still a family favorite when we have get-togethers. So for our Depression era lemonade, we're going to be using water. I'm making a gallon for the purposes of measurements today. We're going to have sugar, and I've got about 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I've got 3 fresh lemons, and then I have nutmeg, which we'll be using a little of, and I'll explain why as we go through this process. So we're going to start with our lemons. Now, I always was brought up with the first thing you do is you roll your lemons. So the reason that we're doing this is it softens the lemons up, it gets the juice all released inside. It's also a little easier to get any seeds out if you want to remove the seeds. Don't have to, but you can. So I'm going to roll these lemons just enough to make them not as hard, especially sometimes you get lemons at the store and they're super hard. So let me get these 3 lemons all rolled out. And while I'm doing that, if you don't have fresh lemons, something that you can do is you can use lemon juice instead. Now, lemon juice, some people aren't a big fan, but to give you a little history on lemon juice, the brand Real lemon juice came out in the 1930s. And that was because they were having some problems with getting a consistent level of acidity, because this lemon versus this lemon versus this lemon might have a different acidity level. So why is the acidity level important when you're using lemons? Well, depending what you're using it for. If you're using lemon juice when you're canning or you're trying to have a recipe that you can replicate the flavor, you want to make sure that that is the same. So in the mid-1930s, they came out with bottled real lemon juice. So if you decide you want to make some lemonade, you don't have the fresh lemons available, instead of 3 fresh lemons, you can use a 1/2 cup of real lemon juice, and that'll make a great substitute, because sometimes lemons just aren't that available or they're super expensive. So now that we have all the lemons rolled, what we're going to do is cut them in half. And you can see they're not all squished and yucky, but what I can do, if you don't want the seeds, you can just push the seeds right out. Fairly easy, because they're not being held in as tightly in the lemons. And then we're just going to give it a squeeze. And you don't have to squeeze like crazy or squeeze too hard, because what I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to cut the lemon into slices. I'll just cut the end off. And I'm going to be putting these slices right in the water. So, rinse, repeat. We're going to do this with the rest of the lemons and the other half of this and get it all into the container. Lemons have quite the history. Lemons have been popular for years and years. They were super popular during the California Gold Rush, and back then lemons sold for as much as $1 a piece, which back at that time was hugely expensive. But the citrus was important. It helped people stay healthy. And during the Depression, lemons were also readily available because they were something that we already had an abundance of coming into the country. And the lemons were easier for them to get a hold of at the time as opposed to oranges. And lemons had a lot more uses. You could make lemonade, you could make sorbets, you could make pies, you could use it for furniture polish, you could use it for stain remover, you could use it when you were canning things or for polishing furniture. There were so many different uses for lemons at the time that the lemon was a popular thing to have in somebody's house. And as I said, once they came out with a bottled lemon juice, that made it even more readily available because you could go to the store and get lemon juice at any time of year. So the lemon is a great thing to have on hand now, or lemon juice. And back in the Depression, it was something that they could use in multiple ways. So it was a very popular thing to have on hand. So if, like me, you hate seeing anything go to waste, you can take these end and offcuts and you can throw them into a baggie in the freezer. You can use them if you need a little bit of lemon zest for a recipe. You can put them into a mixture if you're making some home cleaning supplies, or you can even take a piece of the lemon with the peel, because the oils in it, if you've ever purchased lemon oil for polishing furniture, is great if you get a scratch on a piece of furniture. You just rub it in and it helps take care of that scratch. So these are going to go in a baggie and go in my freezer. So now we're going to add our sugar. During the Depression, sugar was often in short supply. So I'm actually using about 3/4 of a cup. You can use a little bit less or a little more depending on what you like for flavor. We're going to get this added in before I add any more water. So I'm going to get this all stirred in, and then we're going to top it off so that we have our gallon of water. Now that we have our lemons, our water, and our sugar, we have kind of your stereotypical, normal, homemade lemonade. The thing that makes our recipe different is the addition of nutmeg. Why nutmeg? Let me give you a little bit of history. So nutmeg is a spice that's been used in American cuisine for decade upon decade upon decade. As a matter of fact, back in the 1850s to 1860s, we're looking at like 1854 to 1868. During that 14-year time frame, there were 17 patents for mechanical nutmeg graters done, which to me seems like a crazy amount for how we use nutmeg nowadays. But nutmeg was a very, very popular spice used at that time, and that maintained on into the Depression. Now we're going to use about 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. So let me get that set and ready to go into the lemonade. So before I put this in the lemonade, let me explain why I'm only using 1/8 of a teaspoon, which may not seem like much. Nutmeg's flavor is fairly unique. And back in the Depression, when they didn't have a lot of sugar, or maybe they only had 1 or 2 lemons available to use, they were looking to enhance the flavors of their food. And nutmeg is great for enhancing flavors. If you've ever made pumpkin bread, you know you don't use much nutmeg at all. You use a little bit of clove, a little bit of nutmeg, more cinnamon. It enhances the flavors. It's a great addition when you're doing different types of cooking or beverages. So here we're only going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon. We're just going to sprinkle that around on the top and then get it stirred in. Something to keep in mind with fresh lemons is leaving the lemons in your container. Your drink is going to get stronger the longer the lemons are in the water. Now, if your family is like ours, you're not going to have to worry about that because it's going to get drank so quick. You can leave the lemons right in the container when it's empty, add some more sugar, some water, and some more nutmeg, and make yourself another batch. Usually we can easily make 2 batches of lemonade from the lemons that we had. Or you can take those lemons, add them to a pitcher of iced tea, or if you have little kids who drink Kool-Aid, when we were growing up, my mom would take the lemons and put them into the Kool-Aid, and they would take on the color of the Kool-Aid and get a little bit sweeter. And for us kids, it was a fun treat in the hot weather to be able to have the lemons when the Kool-Aid was gone. So I put the cover with the strainer on my container just so that I don't have my lemons leaping out onto the table during my video. But it also helps keep the lemons in. If you use ice in the container, it keeps the ice in and can even help strain out some of the seeds if they're still in there. So every time I make this lemonade, I smile. And the reason is when my nieces were younger, they were visiting with my parents and my mom made them some lemonade. And when she poured them the lemonade, they looked in their glasses, they saw the nutmeg floating around on the top and looked at their mom and quietly said, "Mom, there's dirt in my lemonade." So my kids and I always call it the dirt lemonade now because it's kind of a family joke, but it is still a favorite. We love it. The flavor is absolutely awesome. And we serve it, like I said, whether it's summertime or wintertime, we serve it at the holidays, and it's usually the first container to get emptied. Delicious as always. Now, if your family has a favorite lemonade recipe you'd like to share, we'd love to see you put that in the comments. We really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us to hear how we have our lemonade in our family. And until next time, everybody, take care.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoy our videos and want to help us out, please like this video and subscribe. If you know someone who would like our videos, make sure to share, as this really helps our channel out. Again, thanks, and see you soon.